I didn't think that it would actually take 8 entries, but I am so tired.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game. There is only one key to open the device. It's in the stomach of your dead cellmate. You better hurry up. Live or die. Make your choice.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam. Welcome back to the road to Saw 10, where I'm covering every Saw movie in honor of Saw 10 coming to theaters next weekend. I've covered everything from Saw 1 to Saw the Final Chapter. Playlist link is in the eye in the right-hand corner if you would like to check those out. But for right now, let us dive into the first spin-off of this series, Jigsaw. This movie was released in 2017 and it was directed by the Spirig brothers. Jigsaw is back. Kinda. Basically, long story short, bodies start turning up, a game is being played, and the police think that the long-dead John Kramer has somehow come back from the dead. Or could it be somebody else? Like, you know the drill by this point. Saw 3D, or Saw the Final Chapter, was a bit of a mixed bag. However, it pretty much ended the mainline canon of the Book of Saw in about as good a fashion as you could ask for, with an epic ending. But of course, all movies must be remade at some point, so a reboot was pitched as early as 2012, when Saw the Final Chapter wasn't even 2 years old. In my research, I found there was a pitch. It was actually a pretty cool pitch, where a game was set to take place, and it found out that the victims were actually trapped on a deserted oil rig in the middle of the ocean. Not gonna lie, that sounds terrifying. I would have loved to have seen that. But it never saw the light of day, at least beyond development. Jigsaw, from what I have gleaned, is essentially a sort of kinda soft reboot of the franchise, keeping John Kramer as Jigsaw as canon, acknowledging certain things and knowing that the Jigsaw killer did in fact happen. However, key details are missing, basically a fresh start, sorta kinda. And yeah, that's kind of the problem that I have with this movie. I remember this is the first Saw movie I ever saw in theaters in October of 2017, September, October of 2017. I saw when it premiered. And I initially liked it. I thought it was actually pretty good, and I didn't see why people didn't like it as much. Now that I have seen all of the Saw movies up to this point, yeah, this movie is not great. Is it the worst? No. Is it the worst of this series? No, I would still say it is Saw 5. However, yeah, this movie just left me with more questions than answers. I feel like every 15 minutes, I was basically saying, well, play the Bill Maher clip.
I have a few questions, starting with what the fuck?
And the questions really begin and end with, is this a part of the Book of Saw, or is this a reboot? I feel like there were some concrete ideas for both. But again, there was no real direction on what to do with it, so we got a sort of reboot and a sort of continuation, keeping enough elements to keep it within the Saw universe, however, not really acknowledging Hoffman or Amanda or Dr. Gordon or any of the key players. I can't believe I'm saying this about the Book of Saw, but this is the first time that the Book of Saw literally confused me. One of the only positives that I do have in regards to Jigsaw is the traps. The traps in this movie are legitimately, like, really freaky. There are a couple of ones that, like, they affected me quite a bit. There is one where a dude sticks his leg in this hole and these tight cords wrap around his leg, and he has to sacrifice his leg to save the other players in the game, or he can save himself. And well, he tries to save himself, and he ends up losing the leg. It's pretty gruesome. And also the final part of the game, in which the final two survivors basically have to play a duel, if you will, and basically determines who shoots the other first. It's a bit of a twist, and I'll admit I forgot that I didn't see it coming, and it literally took me by surprise. So I will give credit where the credit is due. The traps in this movie are honestly pretty solid. The rest of the movie, however, is not really that good. Again, and it really boils down to the movie has no idea what it wants to be, a straight up reboot or a continuation. When it comes to a continuation, one of the victims of the game is involved in the game because he sold John Kramer's nephew. Yeah, John Kramer has a nephew in this universe, a motorcycle with bad brakes. The nephew dies because the brakes are faulty, and well, so the guy ends up, well, he doesn't make it. Let me just leave it at that.
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
It was never established in any of these movies that John Kramer had a nephew, or even siblings for that matter. I know, I have watched these movies, so I am fully and keenly aware of the finer details of the Book of Saw. They are fresh in my head. So John Kramer didn't even mention he had parents, and I'm sure he did, but he didn't even bring up parents or siblings of any kind. The only thing that we knew about him was that he had a wife, Jill Tuck, and that he had cancer. That's about it. And the rest of the movie just kind of leave his origins kind of up in the air, and except for the car crash, among other things. Never once in any of these other movies are a sibling mentioned or a nephew. This is the first time we hear of it, and it's the last time that we hear of it.
What the hell does this have to do with anything? Tell me what's happening!
And, well, yeah, the Jigsaw has a new apprentice, so forget about Amanda or Hoffman. It's this dude, Logan, who has the flimsiest excuse to be even associated with John Kramer in the slightest. And similar to Saw 5, the movie goes into a bit of detail of showing that Kramer saves Logan and basically turns him into, I guess, his first apprentice. Even them having a scene together saying, like, creating the reverse bear trap.
Because we'll speak for the dead.
Together, we built a legacy.
This is bullshit!
And I know that you all are probably screaming at your screens right now. Ryan, it's just Saw. What do you expect? Well, I expect a lot more, because these Saw movies have been consistently pretty good with the exception of 5, even to the point of having the continuity relatively strong. Except for Jigsaw. This is the lone one where I'm just sitting there saying to myself, this makes no sense. Because of the inventive traps, I am not going horrid. I promise I am not. I am, however, going to give this a forgettable rating. Again, the annoyance with Hoffman and his whole thing basically leaves 5 where it is as my least favorite of these movies, but Jigsaw is not far behind. This movie was not really fun to get through, and quite honestly, it's a good thing that this is considered a spin-off, because if this were part of the main canon, it would just throw things into utter turmoil. But I pass it off to all of you. Have you seen Jigsaw? Let me know what you think of it in the comments. I'd love to read what you have to say. And stay tuned for next weekend as the road to Saw 10 concludes with talking about Spiral from the Book of Saw. And Jacob Collins will be returning from 3D Movie Cinema to talk about that movie with me. But in the meantime, if you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to allow notifications so when a new video drops, you will be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam, and I will see you in the next one.